Hey guys, it's Alex here, and we are back with not Barry, but Rhydymwyn or however you pronounce it. We're back for a season review, our first season review with Rhydymwyn in the year 2311 now. So this is the year 2310 at 2311. I used to do these reviews for Barry, but then I kind of stopped. So I'm trying to continue these on for our new club, for a new journey. We've left Barry and we're now at Rhydymwyn, and it is a completely new sensations because we were 70 years at Barry. We were absolutely dominant by the end of it, and now we are certainly not with Rhydymwyn. We started the season with a prediction of 9th in the league, so we'll see how we get on. Firstly, we had a lot of transfers to deal with. We had 2 rules for our new club. Each season, we're going to do a new formation. We started with the 4-3-3 for this year, just because that's the one we know, and it's the first season, so they're most likely to get sacked in. So we went with the safe option, and we'll be switching to a new formation for next year. And I've seen what it is, and I'm not looking forward to it. But I'll show you that later. And we also have a rule of we can only have, bar youth intake players and Welsh players, because obviously they're the domestic players, and then your youth academy, you can only have 3 players from a single nation at your club. So we can only have 3 Argentinians, 3 Brazilians, 3 Spanish players, and after that you'd have to sell one to bring in another Spanish player. This kind of stops us from doing what we did with Barry and having the entire Argentina national squad on our books, which is kind of OP. So that's sort of the rules here. We've had a good few transfers. We started off the season and we were playing the 4-3-3, so we needed 3 strikers and we didn't have many strikers. So we brought in a few. We did sell a few. First up, the first ever player to leave was Ross White. Just contract was ending, was not very good, and he's retired already, so that sort of shows something. We then sold Walter Galangani for 850k, which was very good because we had no money. We had no money at all, and I didn't really see him sort of taking part in our club this year, so I went, yeah, let's take the money, get a good bit in the transfers and then the wage budget. A similar situation with Joseph Matthews, a Welsh centre-back, actually plays for the Welsh national team. He went off to Rhyl for 350k. Brian Galassi also left for Thanethi in the 2nd division for a good bit of money, actually, 400k, which I was surprised about. And Danilo Troma left for Magdeburg for 78k. He left due to one of the incomings, but we just couldn't get money for him. But he was I think he was our 4th or 5th best paid player. And he was the 3rd goalkeeper at that point. So I said I just needed to get him out no matter what. So we brought in, firstly, Renato Yeeha. This is a nickname. His name is Renato Yeeha. Basically, yeah, it's Renato Yeeha came from me trying to pronounce his name for the first time. Now, the ins. You obviously saw Renato, Yeeha? And then, so he's a Croatian left back. Pretty decent. He was our starting left back this year. He's actually done very, very well for us. But yeah, he came in at left back. We then signed Andy Allen, a Scottish goalkeeper, on a free transfer. It's going to be a lot of free transfers. We got him from Dundee. He's kind of the reason why Danilo Troma was pushed out. Been very good for us this year. Became our starting goalkeeper. Took over the reins from the original goalkeeper, Osvaldo Valencia. We then signed a 2nd Scottish player and our last Scottish player, because we already had a Scottish player on the team, Ryan Shields, a good centre mid. He's come in and sort of been one of the starters this year as well. We signed Goran Jovanovic, another centre mid. We signed a lot of players, actually. A Serbian 23-year-old, bought him from Javor. He's played 34 games this year, been very, very good for us. More of a defensive midfielder. So very good there. Christian Pedersen also joined, one of our best signings, I think. A 20-year-old, we bought him when he was 19. Danish centre-back on a free from the Danish 2nd division, I think it was. I think, the 1st division it's the 2nd division because you got the Superliga and then the 1st division, kind of like the Championship. So pulled him from the Danish 2nd division and has become one of our starting centre-backs. Been very, very good this year. We then went and tried to sign some strikers. We signed Denny Dervisevic, a Slovenian striker. We signed him from Zavkra. I guess he was released from them. But he's had a fantastic year for us. One of our best players. 16 goals and 10 assists in the league. He had a very slow start, actually. But after January, he really picked it up and became our top goal scorer for us throughout the year. Andy Konate was picked up, a Welsh striker, didn't really play too much. It was sort of very early on. It's very much just keep throwing mud at the wall, and some will stick and some won't. And Konate, along with Promise, another striker we signed, former player of Barry actually, did not stick. He only had 10 games for us, only scored 2 goals, mostly as a substitute for us as well. We also signed a player from Barry directly, Juan Jose Lugo, a Paraguayan striker. He played in the first half of the season a good bit. Was our top goal scorer at one point, but sort of fell off as times went on, and I got annoyed with him. So he became more of a bench player as we went. And then we signed a couple more. Peter Salansky, a Hungarian centre mid, a sort of more backup player. He went out on loan to Bangor City at the second half of the season because he just wasn't getting game time. But not too bad, and he was very cheap as well. And we signed Bujar Deja, who was an Albanian striker, who was very, very good. Had a great start to us, and then got injured for 3 months. So a bit of a stop-start season for him. Came back in the second half, but wasn't the same player. We also did get a second loan signing from Barry, and that was Julian Sotoka, a youth player that came through Barry's youth ranks, but he's a Spanish centre-back and sort of formed a partnership with Christian Pedersen, starting 23 games for us this season. And then finally, I think we had a few more sort of loan signings. No, not loan signings, free transfers. We had Zvonimir Zutic, another Croatian centre-mid, more of a backup. He'll probably go out on loan next year or try to sell him. And then also Valentin Oltean, a Romanian striker. We were desperate trying to sign players because we had a very, very small squad. So those were the signings in, the start of the season. And will take us on to how things went. So our first game was versus Newtown, and it could not have gone any better. We won 5-0. Deja with a hat-trick, 2 penalties within there. Lugo started it off in the 5th minute. I think we've got some clips from this game as well. We do. Inara, Derasevic, Deja to Lugo! It's a Lugo goal! It's the opener! First ever goal, pub quiz question. Juan Jose Lugo on loan from Barry. Barry helping us out. Deja plays a fantastic pass to Lugo. First time. You love to see it. Oh, 1-0 up. And then Derasevic finishes it off. I was like, this is easy. 5-0 away from home. What more could you want? We then did lose to Affinito 1-0, although we weren't bad. A very clear issue this year was finishing for us. Many, many games we could have got more points if we could just finish. We did get a huge win against one of the big 6, because obviously you got the big 6 of Affinito, Port Talbot, Pennybont, Aberystwyth, Haverfordwest, and now Barry. And we're sort of the small 6 now. But we got a huge win versus them, 1-0. Tadeu Inara, one of the key players of this season, getting us the only goal there. We had a lot of games we dominated, a lot of games like this as well, where we sort of just took our goal and defended it. We then also got a huge win over Pennybont in the Premier League Cup on penalties. We won on penalties 12-11. Mion. Oh, he scores his second as well. 11-11. Yeehaw! For a second time! Second time! Yeehaw! Oh! Statsny. Saved! Oh, we go through! 12-11! Go on! Yes, boys! Huge win! Huge! Beaten... Oh, boys! Wow. So yeah, that was some shootout, because actually Inara missed his first penalty and we went all the way back around and he scored his second penalty. It went that far into it. But we actually took a 2-0 lead in this game and threw it away. But it was huge that we got through that. It was a nice win for the morale there. We then had a bit of a sort of crash back down to earth as we lost 2-1 to Thudno here, a team we really should have been beating. But they had a fantastic start to the season, actually. They were up in 4th at one point. We then lost, of course, our first meeting with our old employers, Barry. They of course, they've got my team. They won 4-0. They were very dominant here. Bruno Martin with 2, Catania and Poggia. All names we sort of know and love, or, well, hate now. But yeah, they smacked us around 4-0. But I was happy with 4-0. They were beating teams like 10 and 11-0 this year. So I was happy with a 4-0 loss. We lost 2-0 to Aberystwyth. This was one of those games They had 3 shots on target from 5 shots and scored 2. We had 7 shots on target, 16 shots in total. We had 2 clear-cut chances to their 0, and they beat us there. It was really frustrating, but we got out of the Premier League Cup in the third round there. We then went on to beat Real 1-0. We lost to Haverfordwest 3-0. I think this was a similar game where we actually had more of the ball and more shots, but still lost 3-0 there. Beat Bangor City 4-0. This was a huge game. Another couple of huge games. Beating Aberystwyth 3-1 in Nara with a couple, and Lugo to stage a second half comeback here, actually. A very nice game, followed by our first draw, actually, in the league. Pennybont, which was a 2-2 draw. All 4 goals scored within 5 minutes of each other. We didn't deserve this one, so I'm happy with that. Then beat Goitre 3-0. Anuka, one of our, problem is we were playing strikers, and Anuka's a left winger, so we did try and train him to be up front, but didn't go too well. And we also beat Airbus 3-1, and as you can see, there's a certain player, he's named Public Enemy. I've also spelt his name wrong. His enemy, Public Enemy, number 1. He was a player that was already here. As you can see, he's not here anymore. He's gone to Newcastle. However, I cannot believe how bad this player was. He was supposedly our best striker when I joined. His real name, as you can see, is John Richards. Plays for the Welsh national side. I have never seen a worse player in my time in FM15. We started him 9 times overall. He scored once against Airbus, and that's it. Had 2 assists, had a 6.65 average rating overall. He had a 6.41 in the league. 8 starts, 0 goals, and 0 assists. As you can see, it's a bit of a thing. We got $2.5 million for him in January from Newcastle. Absolute robbery of the century. He's played a little better for them, but he's still on a 6.78. I could not believe it. Every time I played him, he would just miss big chance after big chance after big chance. And he's a lot of the reason why there's a few losses and draws in it. I could not believe how bad he was in this game. I was in shock at just how bad he was. Ridiculous. We continued on, though. 2-0 win over Newtown. A 3-0 win loss. I get too used to saying wins with Barry. 3-0 loss against Port Talbot, as expected, and a 2-1 loss against Athenlido. Bounced back with a 3-1 win over Thudno, a 2-1 win over Rill, and then we had a few plays here. Actually, this is the game where I went, we're selling him. He lost 1-0 to Barry at home. We should have actually done better in this game. And Public Enemy, number 1, missed an incredible chance. I'll try and find the clip of it to put it in. Or is it this one? Maybe it's this one. Dervisevic plays it back to Yeehaw. Inara. Yeah, it's this one. Look at it. I just couldn't believe it. I actually, like just the ridiculousness of this. I actually cannot believe he misses this. So Dervisevic out on the left. I actually cannot believe it. Oh, okay, it's just... look at this. It was a huge mistake at the back. Insaurralde tries to, we're working it. Absolute gift. And he hits the fucking post. The post! And then we conceded to put us 1-up. We actually conceded in the 89th minute, which was a real shame. But we lost there to Barry. We then lost also to Haverfordwest, losing in the 92nd minute, which isn't the best. And then a 3-0 loss to Aberystwyth. There we go. But yes, also, this was the time, we move into January. Well, I'll take you through our January transfers as we go halfway through. We obviously did sell Public Enemy number 1 to Newcastle for 2.5 million. I can't believe we did that, but it was a fantastic bit of money coming in. We also sold another striker, John Pascoe, barely played for us, wasn't very good when he did play. So we sold him for 650k, which isn't bad at all. Only made 50k loss on him. Sent out a few players on loan. Ignore these ones. These are at the end of the season transfers. And we made some more signings. We made 2 striker signings on loan. First one was Øyvind Falkenson, a Norwegian striker on loan from Strømsgodset. Looks a lot better than what we had. So he played for us for the second half of the season. Unfortunately, he couldn't score either. For some reason, we just signed strikers that can't score. 2 goals. Did get a few more assists. Was a bit better, but still not really worth the fee there. Tony Håkansson from Helsingborg was the other signing, another striker here. Swedish international attacking mid/striker. Also, only scored 2 goals, but played a bit better. I don't know why our players can't score for some reason. We also signed another striker in Bulgarian. You can see I was panicking a bit. Daniel Damjanov, he played only a few games really, but just got one a free. We also signed Nikola Stankovic on loan as a backup centre mid to see if we actually wanted him because his contract was running up, but we could get him on loan. Didn't play very well, so he probably won't be. And we also made an actual money signing, which was Andreas Bernhardt from Lask for 325k, an Austrian centre mid, or DM / centre back / centre mid. Very, very good. However, his contract does jump to 4.5k after 10 games, so I wasn't playing him as much as I probably should have. But yeah, that was the January transfers. One of the big things in the league is that you obviously have the top half of the league, which and the bottom half of the league that splits after 22 games. And our intention was to be in the bottom half. However, some of these wins over the likes of Aberystwyth and Penny Bont, along with Aberystwyth just being terrible, meant that going into this final stretch of games here, that we were aiming to lose because we were too far ahead of Aberystwyth. The Aberystwyth loss was fantastic. And then we just beat Penny Bont 2-0. The first time I've actually been upset about us winning a game. You're terrible, man. They're terrible. Look at fucking first ever Titanic flute for a win. Jesus Christ, man. We actually just won that game 2-0. Brilliant. Well done, boys. Well, I'm so happy. People had written us off today, for fuck's sake. Fuck. And then Aberystwyth drew with Rill. So we ended up actually finishing in the top half of the league, very annoyingly, as we beat Bangor City 3-1 and drew with Goitra 2-2. So we had a much harder second half of the season as we probably were aiming for. We also beat Rill in the Welsh Cup 2-0, which was nice. And then we started off the second half of the season with a bang. First season, a win over Barry. This was a ridiculous game, back and forth. We win 4-2. Just absolutely ridiculous. We took a 2-0 lead here through Dervisevich and Falconson. They brought it back to 2-1. We then go back to 3-1, 4-1 up, and then they scored to make it 4-2. And I was very scared, and it was just highlight after highlight for them. But we hold on to a huge win over Barry there. And it was kind of needed, actually, because where is it? I've lost it. There we go. We then went on quite a bit of a losing streak. We lost to Port Talbot. We then beat Haverfordwest 2-0 away, which is a huge win. Then we lost on penalties in the Welsh Cup quarter-final to Penny Bont, which was a shame. We then lost quite a few games in a row here. I've just realised I've had my follower bar on the whole time. Professional. We lost to Athenlido 3-1. Then we lost to Penny Bont 4-1 with a red card. A 3-0 loss away to Barry as expected. We did stop the losses here with a 2-2 draw against Port Talbot and then a 2-0 win over Haverfordwest, actually doing the double over them in the second half of the league, which was very, very nice. Followed by a 4-0 loss to Athenlido and then a 2-0 loss at home to Penny Bont to end the season. So not the best end of the season, but to be fair, 3 wins and a draw in the top half, playing the Big Six twice again. I wasn't the most upset, and that took us into the playoffs. The league table looked as so. Barry did end up winning the title by 11 points. They had 25 wins, 4 draws, 3 losses. We end up finishing 6th, 14 wins, 3 draws, 15 losses, 49 goals for, and 51 against. I think if we actually had good strikers, we could have done a lot better, even maybe pushed for 5th. And then we go and Aberystwyth finish 7th. They're on a good few points because they had a very good second half of the season because they had to play all the small teams again. Newtown and Bangor City get relegated in the end. And hilariously, Tadeo Inara had one of the highest average ratings in the league. But because we finished 6th, we go into the Euro Cup playoff places. And first up, we had Rhydymwyn, which was a 5-0 win. It was nice to play a small team. Tadeo Inara with a hat-trick. Hawkinson missed a penalty. And then also, the goalkeeper saved the penalty and then saved the rebound. I'd never see that in FM15. Hawkinson to take the penalty. Go on, lad. Make it 2. Make it 2. Oh, fuck. He made a double save. He Have you ever seen ever in FM where the keeper makes a double? He saved the rebound. He saved the fucking rebound, and Anara scores the fucking corner. Fuck me. Oh my God. How? What a double save by the... I don't think I've ever seen a goalkeeper save the penalty and then save the rebound. And then Anara scores a deflected shot from the corner. Jesus Christ, man. And then Dervisevic got another 2 to absolutely cruise into the final, where we had a tough one, and we had Aberystwyth. But we won. 1-0 win. We did actually dominate the game. We just couldn't take off chances again. But Dervisevic in the 46th minute gave us the win. And I think it was Rhydymwyn's first ever win, ever. So we get Europe for sure next year. I don't know how it works sometimes. I think we have the Europa League group stages next year. So we'll have to see how Rhydymwyn do in Europe. I switch between Rhydymwyn and Rhydymwyn. It happens. But yeah, we had a fantastic year, to be fair, with our first ever season. This is how the players did. Obviously, Dervisevic did become our top goal scorer. He was actually pretty poor in the first half of the year. And I think that was probably playing with other strikers. But that second half of the season, as you can see, he had this run of games where he just started scoring loads and loads of goals, and was actually kind of vital to us doing as well as we did, with 10 assists as well. Tadeo Anara, he was man of the season. Absolutely incredible player. He was already here. He's a former Barry player, a Brazilian, hilarious. One of the Brazilians I brought over got nationalised to Spain, so he has an EU permit, and then Rhydymwyn signed him. He was incredible. He was getting bids from everybody during the season. He's a bit unhappy with me at the moment because I don't want to let him leave. Have West currently bidding for him, but yeah, he was incredible this year. 12 goals and 10 assists. And a 7.97 average rating overall for a team like us is ridiculously good. So he was incredible. Lugo there had 11 as well, sort of fell off a bit as time went on. Otherwise, we had some good performances from the likes of Yeehaw was a fantastic player, 7.28 average rating. Juric as well, a player that was already here, another former Barry player, Canadian right back. He was our starting right back this year. Had a very decent year overall. I've sort of talked about a lot of the new signings, but there was original players such as Jonathan Ingram as well, his backup on the right there. We had Osvaldo Valencia in goal. He started the season a bit as our starter, but then Andy Allen just took the sort of starting role from him. But yeah, overall a good season, and we'll have to see how things go into the next season. But we'll have to look at what happened elsewhere. Obviously, Barry, they are my former club. How did they do without us? They signed Egemin Taskin, who's actually a former player of Barry. I didn't even realise it at the time, but I signed him from Başakşehir. The reason I probably don't remember is because I sent him out to Serbia for 4 years, and then Italy, and then I let him on a free to Thanethi. But since then, he's had a pretty decent managerial career. He went on to be the under-19s Turkey manager, won the European under-19s with them, won the Europa League and 3 domestic cups with Fenerbahce, went to Monaco and won a French Champions Trophy, then FC Ist, also in France, won 3 more domestic trophies and the Europa League again with them, and now moved to Barry. And as you can see, he did win the European Super Cup, the Club World Cup, the Welsh Cup, and now the league. So it was very funny. Before he won the league, he'd only won domestic trophies. He had 11 domestic trophies or something like that. But yeah, as you can see, they did beat Porto in the Super Cup 2-1, which is a big win for them. They did get through and win the Champions League final, the Club World Cup 4-1 against Corinthians. They did lose the Premier League Cup 3-1 to Port Talbot, and they also beat Penybont, got a bit of revenge. Oh no, sorry, not. They're both P sides. They beat Penybont in the Welsh Cup final 4-1. So not too bad from them. They did have a lot of transfers out. They sold a lot of players for a lot of value that I wouldn't agree with. First one, and the main one, is Pietro Bianchi, a fantastic young German player. I rejected 86 million for him in the summer, and they've sold him for 32 million. Similar situations with sort of Sarah Legui, or in the Mud V2, Solomon, Sapuga, Ronaldinho. Basically, they've got a big squad, so I know they have to sell players, but a lot of them are undervalued. But yeah, also Champions League, we can go through what's been going on in the Champions League. Of course, we're not in Europe this year, so the Welsh teams had to sort of keep up the coefficient, I guess, for us. And we're already into this next season already. So we had three teams. We had 3 teams in the Welsh League, the Europa League this year. Aberystwyth, who topped their group. Haverfordwest also topped their group. And TNS, who for some reason were in here. I don't know why. They only got 1 win, but they're in the 2nd division, so don't really expect too much more of them. Moving into the knockout rounds, Aberystwyth got through, and so did Haverfordwest, beating Rubin and Dynamo Moscow. Second knockout round, Aberystwyth knocked out Real Madrid. Meanwhile, Haverfordwest fell to Lille, so Aberystwyth, our last team running in the Europa League here. They took on PSG in the quarterfinals, and PSG are a very good team. They should not be in the Europa League, but a 4-3 win took them through to the semis, where they played Standard, and after losing 1-0 away, they won 4-0 in the return leg to face Valencia in the final, and they won 3-2. So huge from Aberystwyth for the coefficient, a big win there. We then had the Champions League, where we had 4 teams in it, none of them us, of course. But as you can see, we had Penny Bont, who came second in their group. They did qualify, though. Same situation with Lido, set level on points with Monaco with 15. They come through second, though. Barry do top their group, but they did lose twice. And then Port Talbot also topped their group. So all 4 got through with relative ease. First knockout round, Penny Bont knocked out Inter. Lido did fall to Benfica, though. Benfica probably one of the best teams in the Champions League, so upsetting but not unsurprising. Barry sneaked through against Porto. They played Porto loads this year on away goals there, and Port Talbot beat Valladolid. Elsewhere, Zenit beat Juventus, AC Milan beat FC Ist, Angers beat Sporting, and Monaco beat PSV. Then we had the quarterfinals. Port Talbot knocked out Angers. AC Milan knocked out Barry on penalties. AC Milan was probably the easiest tie for Barry, and they lost. They lost 2-0 away. They won 2-0 at home, but then lost on penalties. So Barry don't go 14 in a row. They go out quite early, actually. So yeah, not good at all. And Monaco knock out Benfica, and then Zenit also knock out Penny Bont. Penny Bont had a very poor time against them as well. So only one team left, Port Talbot, who in the semi-final do get revenge against AC Milan and knock them out, and they face Monaco in the final. We actually watched this game. And we watched Monaco beat Port Talbot. So no double Welsh winners in the Europa League and Champions League. France are enemy in the coefficients. It's us and France at the top get a win over us there as Port Talbot lose there. And Monaco become the first Champions League winners of the Rhydymwyn era there. So it was very, very decent by the Welsh teams, but just no Champions League win. But yeah, so I think that's mostly. We had a couple of good youngsters come through, but who knows how they're going to do. Ashley Rogers, a young centre mid / attacking midfielder, and Neil Partin, another centre mid. So we'll see how they both go. We're going to be looking to sign more players, of course, the next season. As you can see, we have to be limited by certain ones. We can't sign any more Scots, for example. We can only sign one more Serbian and whatnot. But we did do the draw for the next formation. So what I do is I go through into the formations, set to formation, and look at all these base formations. I put them on a wheel and I spin them. And you're looking at it right now. You are looking at it right now. It is just, yeah. It's a 4-1-2-3 narrow, apparently. So it's a 4-back with 1 centre mid, 2 attacking midfielders, and 3 strikers. We did play the 4-3-3, so it's just a bit more attacking. But we're going to see how that goes. We're really going to see how that goes. But who knows how things go. It was a fantastic first season with a lot of fantastic moments. There's probably some clips throughout. Up that down. There we go. Why? Fuck you. Fuck you, Correa. Wait, hold on. No, wrong way. Please, for the love of God, just let me have someone, man. Pretty good. I was going to say pretty good for a 14-year-old. Oh, promise! You promised us something better, mate. About how we did throughout, but it's going to be a real challenge next year. Who knows what's going to happen? I think the board still want us to finish mid-table, which I think is 7th or 8th, because apparently 6th was finishing above mid-table. So happy with that. But that is our first season with Rhydymwyn done. So hopefully we stream this as well every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So come join along to watch that. But yeah, otherwise, I'll see you for season 2.